Hello everybody, this is Oak Tree Tarot Reader here and welcome to my Pick a Card video. So today we're asking the question, how can I call in my soulmate? It was inspired by one of the cards found in this deck, the Romance Angels Oracle Cards deck, and I thought, God, that'd be a great question to do. So I've set it all up. Because you want the real deal. You want a partner for life. You want to get married, settle down, have a family or whatever. But you want it to be with the right person. So whether you're looking specifically for a twin flame, a soulmate, or you're just looking for a sure bet, this is the reading for you. How can you call them in? How can you attract them or manifest them into your life? We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm putting the timestamps in the description box and in the pinning it as top comments. So I want you to clear your mind, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. And when you feel ready to make your choice, I want you to trust your instincts and to not overthink it. When you're ready, click on the timestamp and I'll see you at your reading. Okay, those of you that chose option 1, this is your reading. Put that up there. Suddenly got quite a bit darker. It was quite nice and sunny was setting up the cards, so if it gets much worse I'll have to get some sort of torch or light, but hopefully you'll be able to see. Right, so children, your love life is being affected by children. Let's start this way actually. 9 of chalices, 6 of stones, exploitation, and 5 of wands. So what strikes me immediately looking at these is I think there's a feeling here, particularly from these two cards. I think it's what's stopping you from calling them in, what you need to do in order to call in your soulmate is to feel confident. Because this one particularly, it talks about dispelling all fears. The magic of the lantern dispels all fears. There's this feeling here that she's sort of willing but slightly hesitant and he's trying to convince her. But when it's talking about dispelling fears and letting go and just sort of being overwhelmed, and this exploitation, it leads me to think that I'm trying to articulate it properly. I can feel it. I'm just trying to think how I can say this. That you don't think you're good enough. It's like you're not up to the competition. I think that's the only way I can articulate it, because we've got the 5 of wands, which is about being in a scrum. It's about it's usually the 5 men all fighting each other. It's about, putting yourself into the competition. What you need to do is get yourself out there and dispel any fears that you have that you are not enough, and actually that you might be exploited. I think some of you are really, really frightened that, maybe you've had bad relationships and what you're scared of is that any new love is going to come in and exploit you. Maybe you were really hurt. Maybe you took a big financial hit. I mean, if you settled into a home with someone, bought a house together, even had children, and then you split up, it's hard being a single parent, and it's hard even having to sell a home that you've invested a lot of money in and you've got to start over from scratch. It's bad enough being a young couple trying to set up home anyway, but it's even worse being a single person trying to set up home again. So I think that you're frightened that you're going to be exploited, that there's enough competition anyway and you're not up to it, excuse me for that, that you're not, I just get this feeling that you're not enough, which is nonsense. Of course you are. And even so, this person, why wouldn't they want you? What, do you think they're perfect and they haven't got flaws? but you've simultaneously got this sort of inferiority thing going on where you're like, oh, I'm not, I'm not up for the challenge, or I don't want the challenge even, because you don't want to run the risk, I think, of being hurt and emotionally exploited as well, even financially. But it's telling you you've got to let go of those fears, because you're going to be on your own if you don't take the risk. And clearly you do want to meet someone because you're watching the video. People that are contentedly single don't watch these videos about finding a soulmate or finding love. So you clearly do want to be with somebody. And I'm wondering whether the motivation for some of you is to have children, in which case you've got to accept that you do want children, and you're not going to be able to really... Well, you can have children outside of a family. Is it because you want a certain person? I'm drawn to saying that for most of you, you've already got kids and you're wondering about who you're going to let into your life to share it with your children, or you're worried that they've got, that somebody else has children. Maybe you don't want to have kids, and what you're thinking is, are they going to want to have children, or are they not going to want to have children? That maybe you're worried about not having your own kids. Maybe you're getting older and you're thinking that your time's limited to have children. But, if it's physically possible for you, there's no reason why you can't at least try. And if you've already got kids, as long as you don't rush things and that you take time for all of you to get to know each other and sort of slowly incorporate a new person into your life, it can work. It does work. You've got to be sensible about it. But I think the biggest thing that's sort of stopping you from calling in your soulmate is this sense that you're frightened of being hurt and of not being enough, that it's going to take a blow to your confidence. But that's rubbish. You are enough. You are enough. And if you let go of this fear and start thinking, I am enough, I am attractive enough, I have got enough about me, I have enough that I can provide myself with a happy life, and a life that somebody would be happy to share with me, all of your fears will be dispersed. You have to shine a light on all these negative thoughts and get rid of them. Dispel all the darknesses. Because you can find love, and you will find love, and you will start calling in your soulmate calling in love when you get rid of these things, basically. Because if you want children, or you want a happy life with the kids you've already got, you need to deal with these things so that you can have it. Because whatever it is, whatever your thing about children is, it's really affecting your calling in this soulmate. Maybe you're worried that you won't be a good parent, or maybe you're worried that they won't be a good parent, but you've got to let those fears go, because they're never going to turn up if you're sort of creating an atmosphere of rejection for them. You've rejected them before they've even turned up in the room to say hello to you. Yeah, that's the thing. It's you need to deal with these things. You can enter the competition. There's probably less competition than you anticipate, or is the competition. There are a lot less things for you to be frightened of than you anticipate, and you won't be exploited. If they go to turn to exploit you, then they're not the right person, and you'll know. I think you've already been through this. I think that you will know enough to reject them when they sort of get in enough that it seems likely they are emotionally exploiting you or whatever. Yeah. To call in your soulmate, stop being frightened that they're going to exploit you, and accept that you are enough competition to enter the fray, to meet them or be with them or attract them. And that's how you can call in your soulmate. And whatever issue it is with you and your children, whether you want them or you have them or you don't want them, it'll be all right, because it's highly unlikely that you and your soulmate will want different things. It's highly likely that you will want compatible things in terms of children. So just envision what you want with children and you will attract the right person. So those of you that chose option 1, that's your reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please leave me a comment, subscribe and like the video and everything else, please. And have a look. I've got a Patreon now, so have a look there, see if you like it. And if you do, support me on my Patreon account. So take very good care of yourself. Thank you very much for listening to me, and goodbye. Okay, those of you that chose option 2, this is your reading. Let's leave that there. How can you call in your soulmate? Ooh, stay optimistic about your love life. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. That's a nice, clear, simple message, isn't it? Then we've got the Knave of Wands. Nice. Then we've got the Four of Bows, which is celebration. And finally, Death. It's a phoenix. Nice. So how can you call in your soulmate? Well, obviously stay optimistic. So you've got to keep the faith. If you've been there worried that it's never going to happen, it will. You know, maybe it's going to take a long time. Maybe it's taking longer for you than for others, or that you would like, or that you've hoped. Maybe you've had a few failures in the past. Some of them may have stung quite badly. But you've got to stay optimistic, because it's somebody that's positive and open and nice to be around is going to have a lot more success attracting the right person, the person, your soulmate, than somebody who's dreary and miserable. You've got to set off the right vibrations. You've got to set off the right attitude. So be optimistic. Love will come to you. You've got to have faith. The next card, the Knave of Wands, is interesting from my perspective, because what it's saying is, don't judge by appearance, really, this Knave of Wands. It's saying, you know, being a bit weird or being a bit eccentric doesn't mean that they're an unreliable partner. So if you're expecting someone to be of a certain type, you know, it's saying, no, be open to different sorts of people. There's a card here where it's saying your soulmate may differ from your expectations, along those lines. And this is what that card reminds me of. That what you've got to do is think, well, maybe they're not like my normal type. Maybe they're different to me. Maybe they're, you know, physically different to the people I normally date, or, you know, have been in past relationships with. But it's but if they're the right person for me, who cares about physical appearance, and maybe they're into kooky things, maybe they physically do match your type, that if you're into fit and athletic people, or whether you're into more intellectual people that enjoy long walks rather than going to the gym, if you're whatever you're physically into, they may match that appearance, but inside they're a different type of personality. And vice versa, if you're attracted to a certain type of person with certain personalities or qualities, you might find that your soulmate actually looks physically different to the type of person that you're normally really attracted to. So it's saying that don't limit yourself in thinking that your soulmate has to fit, you know, a perfect list of your dream lover. It's saying open and widen your horizons, and don't discount people because of things that come across as a bit different. So that's how you can call them in, by accepting that they might be a bit different to what you normally like, or just a bit weird from your perspective. You need to celebrate. So I'm actually going to say you need to get out and make sure you're out celebrating things. And it also links into staying optimistic. This is their tribe. These people are all here dancing around the fire because they're in plenty. It's the, you know, like the Four of Wands. It's about being part of a family celebration where someone's getting married, or there's a christening, or something wonderful going on, and they're there to celebrate it. So it's about being part of a family and being part of a secure tribe, a secure unit. And I think that's because it's going to put you in a good position emotionally and mentally to be in a good place to meet someone great. It's all about stability. For love to thrive, it does need some level of stability, basically, a good foundation to be built upon. Relationships can struggle when they're built upon flimsy, ideals and shared visions and all the rest of it. So you need to be in a solid place. Probably because this person's going to be, there's almost a sense here that, they might be a bit different. Because we've also got the Death card. Something needs to change within you. I'm not sure what that is, but this is like the phoenix rising from the ashes. Something shed, the ashes are scattered on the ground, and then the phoenix is whoosh, in the flame reborn. So there's a sense here that you need to let go of the old and make way for the new, and that's how you can call them in. So whether you've come out of a bad breakup, it can be relatively recently or even further in the past, or whether you have changed your careers, or you've gone through something where you're now, in a sense, a different person, and you just sort of have to shed the old and make way for the new. And when you do, you're going to be calling them in, because the new refreshed phoenix you is going to be in a great position to meet someone new and make a new start, because you will already be in a new start in your life, so you can start new beginning with them. So you've got new things coming in, and so you can stay optimistic about your love life, because within this new mindset, it can be something stupid, like, not stupid, but something simple like a new job, a new house, and you're just feeling good. And you're thinking, right, I'm ready for them, whoever they may be. I've got everything, I'm with my family. I've got my connections up. I am ready for them to come into my life. And you can begin calling them in, because you're in a great place to just meet new people. And one of them will be great, the one for you. And that's it. That's your reading. Nice and simple. A really, really positive one. You just have to stay really positive and secure and growing. You just need to keep growing. But this is just interesting, so interesting, because it really stands out to the others, where it's, don't allow the differences of someone to allow you to think that they're not trustworthy or they're not reliable. So it almost makes me want to say that your soulmate in some way may differ from what you expect. And you might look at them and think, like they haven't got a job. They say, or I'm working part-time at the moment, but I'm doing this, and I've got a poorly paid job. And you're thinking, the message is, don't throw them all under the bus for that. Because we all have moments where we haven't got much money, or maybe you look at them and they're mad for tarot, or maybe you look at them and they are massively into playing computer games or something. I'm just trying to think what it could be. Don't exclude them because they're different. That's the message. They might be just, there's something about them, and the warning is, don't reject it. It's really interesting, because I wasn't anticipating that within the reading, but it's screaming out at me. Because you might be positively thinking, well, they're nice, there's something there, but they don't fit in with what I want. And you're going to miss out. And I don't want anyone to miss out on somebody that could be really great for them. So those of you that chose number 2, that's your reading. Please leave me a nice comment. Let me know how it resonated with you. I've set up a Patreon. The link's in the description box. So have a look there as well if you want to support me on there. I'll be very grateful. But otherwise, I wish you all the best of luck for the future. Thank you very much for listening to me, and goodbye. Okay, number 3. Here's your reading. How can you call in your soulmate? Oh, chemistry. There's a strong magnetic attraction here. So I wonder whether somebody of you already have a bit of a feeling going on for someone. Oh, 10 of Swords. The Archer. Oh, and the Chariot. That's basically the same card twice. Let's move these down. I don't need it up so high. Okay. First things first, I need to deal with this 10 of Swords. To call in your soulmate, you need to accept that something's over. So some of you might have just come out of a relationship or some sort of situation. There's something going on in your life generally, or, like, there's just something going on in your life. I'm trying to think generally. There are things ending maybe simultaneously. Or specifically, maybe a job has come to an end, or maybe a relationship has come to an end, or a phase of your life has come to an end. It doesn't need to be a big birthday or anything where you're suddenly like, oh my God, I've reached 40 and blah, blah, blah. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to be a point where you think, hang on a minute, I'm doing all this and I'm not happy. I mean, she's crying, there's pain, and it's time for it to be over. The other thing, in order to call in your soulmate, that some of you need to do is accept that pain is a part of life, that things hurt, that disappointments happen, that you have emotions, things hurt, and it's time to accept it, let the pain happen, and then sort of move on. The next thing, to call in your soulmate, when I've got this chemistry, it just speaks to me that there's already an attraction going on here. Maybe this is where the tears are from. Maybe because you've got an attraction with somebody else. Some of you. But I think you have to call in your soulmate, you have to demand that you want the magnetic attraction, that you want the chemistry. And that maybe if you haven't had it in the past, it's all right to let those situations go. But now it's time to have the chemistry, to have the passion. That you need to call in the passion and demand it. Because we've basically got the same card twice, the Archer and the Chariot. So it's really reinforcing that it's time to create a plan. To call in your soulmate, you need to make plans. Is that more generally for the future? If all this has ended, something's ended, generally, job, relationship, maybe you're moving, something's coming to a close, it's hurting or has hurt, it's now time to think about what you want in life. Because it's like your soulmate can't come in until you know what kind of life you want to lead. It's like, what are your plans for the future? What job do you want to do? Where do you want to live? Do you want to get married and have a family, or do you just want to meet somebody and be the two of you? I mean, some of you are younger, some of you are older. Are you at a point where you want to meet somebody to share your life with, in retirement? Or are you young enough that you want to meet somebody to begin your life with? Are you somewhere in the middle where you've had attempts at having a family or having great relationships and it's just not working? And now you need to think, well, what are my ambitions for the future? What are my plans? And there are things going on underneath. There's fertility, there's growth, there's life, and it's all happening under the sea. And she is oblivious to it as she drives her chariot forward. Even the two unicorns aren't looking ahead to where they're going, which is actually the purpose of the chariot. And here in the Archers shows it much more carefully, is that you have to get your eye line set up. You have to get your target in place before you get your bow up and your arrow out to shoot off, to fire off. And I feel that's what's missing from you that chose number 3, is I don't feel there's a complete plan about what the future is. It's like if you want to settle down and have kids, you've got to start thinking and calling in the soulmate that wants those things with you, that wants to share that life with you, that also wants to try for a family, to raise a family together, to live where you want to live, to support your career, or if you want to support someone else's career, to support them in their career, or mutual support, or whatever. You've got to attract someone that has a shared vision of the future, and you're not capable of calling in your soulmate because I don't think you know what you want. You might think you know, but I think deep down there's a bit of confusion because of the 10 of Swords. There's this sense that you're hurting and you can't call forward for the future. You can't come forward and say, well, this is what I want, this is not what I don't want, and all the rest of it, because of the pain. because you've got to accept it. Pain is just a valid emotion as happiness, and you have to accept that there's pain over disappointment, and that until you deal with it, you can't move forward and attract this soulmate. So yeah, you need to get through that pain first. And then I think it will happen. I almost want to say that once you've dealt with this, it's just going to happen for you. Because it's saying about there's a strong magnetic attraction here, and then you've got 2 cards about focus and drive and ambition and movement forwards, onwards. And the only thing that's blocking it is this 10 of Swords. So for those of you that it resonates, that there's been a disappointment, there's been a pain, there's been bad relationships, there's been pain over something else, it's time to deal with that. And then I think things will fall into place, and you'll be, the calling of your soulmate, I think will happen just naturally. Because there's just a feeling here that it's time, and this is the only thing that's holding it back. So those of you that chose option 3, that's your reading. I really hope that it's helped you. Leave me a message in the comment section and let me know if you don't mind. Just to let you know, I've set up a Patreon, so please have a look on there to see if there's anything you like. And if you do like, then please support me on Patreon. I'd very much appreciate it. And please take very good care of yourself. Thank you very much for listening to me, and goodbye. Hello, those of you that chose option 4. This is your reading. Oops, I'll put that there. So, how can you call in your soulmate? Deception. Someone is wearing a false self mask in this relationship. That's interesting. Hierophant. The Seer. The Empress. God, you got basically all major arcanas. Nice, clear, simple message. So you have to take off your mask, quite simply. So are you lying to yourself or to other people? Are you presenting yourself in a certain way that is not actually true to who you are? Someone is wearing a false self-mask in this relationship. Well, we're going to take away relationship because you're not in a relationship, I would imagine. I'd hope you were single. But, I mean, if you're in a relationship where, and you're looking for someone else, it's maybe time to finish off that relationship. But I just get this impression that you're not revealing your true self. And you can't attract your soulmate until you're honest with yourself, until you take off the mask and be your true self. Because, it's like this thing, they won't recognise you, but they won't, because they'll be thinking, well, I'd like to meet a certain type of person, and could be equally calling in you, and then you turn up. You will probably think, this is a magnificent person, I really want to be with them. And they're looking at you and thinking, no, that's not who I want to be with, because they're only seeing the mask and not the real you. So it's time to take off the mask. Next we've got the Hierophant, which is actually, it's about being traditional, about the support of the network. It's like the communal sort of belief system where you don't challenge the status quo, you just go along with the crowd and be part of a tradition. It's about being supportive. So I think it's about being, in a sense, in a situation where you feel that it's familiar to you. So I think that you need to try to meet somebody, attract somebody that fits this idea of being supported. Because this Hierophant's supporting these women and they're supporting him. And that's what like a shared faith system, a shared belief system does. You support each other based on the shared vision, like a religion or something, an ideology. So I think you've got to look to meet somebody that's going to support you and who you can support. It's about trying to call for somebody that you want to be good for as well as good for you. it's about thinking, who can I share my life with that, how can I help them realise their ambitions and to be happy? Because in order to call in your soulmate, you need to use your intuition. This is interesting. All of these cards together really speak to me, in an interesting way, that you're not using your intuition. And I think it's because you're not being honest with yourself. And perhaps you haven't got the support you need, or that you're not looking to give support. But you need to see things clearly. What's striking me is that she's got her eyes closed as she's looking at the pool. There's a sense here that there's masks and eyes being closed, that you're not seeing something, or you're not looking for something. It's like, do you know who you're looking for, who you're trying to call in? You're saying, oh, my soulmate. But who are they? Who is it you're trying to find? And I don't mean, I want a tall, handsome, dark stranger. I mean, what qualities do you want? There's this idea that you should be looking for support. What do you want? Having your intentions clear. Because when you follow a tradition, and when you have something going on where it's, doing things the way things have always been done and the way everybody else does it, you know where you stand. So I think this is what you need to do, is you need to have it so that you know where you stand. And because you've got this deceptive mask on, people don't know where you stand, because you're not being honest, I think, about what you want or who you want. And this is why you need to be the seer. You need to see things. You need to start visualizing who you want. This is the High Priestess card, and she's an intuitive, educated woman. Doesn't matter if you're a gentleman watching this, it's irrelevant. You are somebody that needs to start visualizing who you want to be with in order to call them into you. And you can't do that because deep down you don't know who you want. And you probably don't know who you want because you're not being honest about who you are. There's something that needs to be manifested. The Empress, I know, we think about the Magician as the manifester, but actually the Empress is just as much a creator, if not more, because the Magician uses his skills to manifest, but the Empress just does it naturally. So I'm going to have to say is I don't think it's any issue for you to call in the soulmate. I don't think you have to actually sort of visualize in the sense of come to me. I think that you're just naturally perhaps being able to attract them and draw them in. But the issue is, because you don't know who to call in and attract, they're not going to come. So I think that once you're knowing who it is, because the butterflies do represent the soul and the soulmate, and we've got the butterflies here creating for the sun. When you know what your intentions are towards your soulmate and what you want their intentions for you to be, I think you'll start calling them in. For some of you, something needs to be created. Maybe you're working on a creative project, and once you've done this creative project, then you can start calling them in. It's like the completion, once the work is done, then you will start calling them in and they will start coming in. What intrigues me is that she's looking down and she's looking up. I think it's all to do with seeing, being seen, seeing what you want, visualizing what you want, knowing what you want. And I think what's stopping your soulmate from coming in, or love, or anything that you want to come in, is that you don't know what you want, because you're not being honest about yourself. And when you are, that you will have that fruitfulness, you will have that abundance, you will be able to manifest them. I think you'll be able to call them in. I think you'll be able to sort of magic them into existence. I think you have to believe that you can attract them, that you can call them in. And that's what the Empress is telling you. If you give the Empress a seed, she'll grow a crop. Give her the sperm, she'll make the baby. She'll nurture the baby and deliver it. You need to sort of be the Empress in that if you be honest and you start to think about what it is that you want and who you want to be with, I think that you'll start calling them in. Because if you're open to everybody, nobody can come forward. But if you're sort of specifically, well, I want to meet somebody that wants to, you know, whatever phase of life that you're in, wants to do what I want, you know, wants to get married and start a family, or wants to share their retirement with me, or, you know, just travel the world with me or something, or just settle down with just the two of us where we focus on our careers. You need to think about who it is that you want. And I think for a lot of you, you've been saying one of those options, but it's not really what you want. So if you've been saying, yeah, I want to get married and start a family, but deep down you're thinking, no, I want to travel the world, it's not going to happen, because your soulmate would also want to travel the world versus having a family, and they can't come through and be with you if you're saying, I want a family. The same if you're saying, no, I want to focus on my career. I want somebody who's a determined career man or a determined career woman, who's determined to be the top of their game and being a top earner, but deep down you're yearning to be a mom or a dad, and you're yearning to settle down into domestic bliss. The person who also wants domestic bliss is hearing that you want a devoted, dedicated career person that's aiming to be earning 2 million a year by the time they're 30. They're going to be like, no, I don't want them. I want to find the homebody who wants to just basically buy a house, have a few kids, raise them, and just, you know. You need to find the truth of what you want, and then when you do, you will call in your soulmate. And that, my dears, is your reading. I hope that it's helped you. Please let me know in the comments section if it has. I have set up a Patreon where I'm doing some extra videos and advanced videos and all the rest of it. Have a look there. It's all in the description box. And if you like it, join me on there. Otherwise, please take very good care of yourself. Thank you very much for listening to me, and goodbye.